Sri Aurobindo's philosophy offers us a profound guide at a time when our minds seem endlessly overactive, caught in cycles of worry and restless thinking. Modern life bombards us with stimuli and demands, pulling our attention in countless directions. And it is all too common to find ourselves trapped in overthinking, unable to find a moment of peace within. Yet, Sri Aurobindo teaches that the key to living fully and consciously in this age is not to abandon the mind or force it into silence by sheer will, but to cultivate a quietude and peace that descends naturally as the consciousness expands. The beginning of this path is learning the art of quieting the restless mind, allowing thoughts to arise and pass without engagement or excitement. As Sri Aurobindo states, a quiet mind is not one forcibly emptied of thoughts, but one that observes them from a calm and detached place. The mind becomes a witness, a silent observer standing aside from the rush of ideas and emotions. From this vantage point, gradually, the restless chatter ebbs and a deeper peace emerges, a peace which is the first glimmer of the inner silence that promises true freedom. In our daily lives, this quietude is essential. Even amidst activity, the aspirant can learn to hold this inner calm, to allow the mind to be present without agitation or haste. Instead of reacting to every thought or external event, one learns to remain steady, receiving all that life brings with a serene openness. The silence of the mind becomes a wellspring, a space where deeper awareness and inspiration can arise. This practice does not require withdrawing from life, but learning to inhabit life with a mind that is both attentive and gently detached. Sri Aurobindo emphasizes that forcing the mind to be silent through suppression or struggle is counterproductive. Rather, the seeker must cultivate persistent calmness and watchful rejection of distracting mental patterns. This will, over time, cause the tumultuous activity to lose its grip and retreat of its own accord. The power behind this transition is not the individual ego striving, but the descent of a higher consciousness that gradually occupies the empty spaces left by fallen mental turbulence. The practical implication is powerful, even in work, relationships, or daily duties. The mind can remain outwardly engaged, but inwardly peaceful. The energy spent on relentless mental chatter can be redirected to constructive creativity, compassionate action, and the intimate enjoyment of the present moment. Instead of being consumed by worry about past or future, one learns to flow fluidly with what is. Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga points us toward living with the inner presence of the Divine Mother, whose energy supports and guides the quieting of both mind and heart. This develops into an inner repose, where not only the mind, but the vital parts of our being find rest and alignment with the spirit. The calm mind is a stable foundation for the profound transformations promised by the yoga, leading gradually to the experience of the silent self that underlies all activity. Understanding this method can change anything from how we meditate, to how we navigate stress, to how we find joy and meaning in everyday life. The inner silence that sometimes seems so elusive in a world of noise and hurry becomes accessible as a practical reality, a way where one can be present, centered, and fully alive. This approach recognizes that consciousness itself is evolving through human experience, and our individual practice of quieting the mind participates in humanity's larger spiritual evolution. The transformative quality of this practice lies not in achieving a permanent state of blankness, but in developing what Sri Aurobindo calls the witness consciousness, a steady awareness that can observe the movements of thought and emotion without being disturbed by them. This witness remains peacefully present whether the mind is active or still, whether emotions are calm or agitated, whether external circumstances are pleasant or challenging. In our fast-paced, modern world, the wisdom of Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga offers an essential pathway back to presence and meaning amidst the chaos. His teachings affirm that spiritual growth is not about retreating from life's challenges, but embracing them fully with a transformed consciousness. This modern spirituality is deeply practical, inviting us to integrate inner silence into the bustle of everyday existence, transforming routine actions into opportunities for awakening. One of the core practices is cultivating integral awareness, the continuous presence of higher consciousness in all parts of our being. This awareness shines a light on the underlying divine purpose within our daily tasks, relationships, and even moments of rest. Slowly, the habitual patterns of mechanical thinking give way to a state of receptivity, where inspiration and peace become accessible throughout the day. This is not about forcing the mind into rigidity or suppressing emotions, but developing a balancing act between engagement and detachment. Sri Aurobindo describes this as a calm vigil, a state in which the mind remains silently watchful without being swept away by fluctuating thoughts or emotional turmoil. In practice, it involves gentle letting go of distractions and cultivating a steady inner focus that aligns with the silent presence at the heart of all consciousness. Importantly, this practice fits into the rhythm of modern life, whether during intense work projects, family interactions, or quiet moments of reflection. The aspiration is to gradually expand the range of moments lived consciously. Over time, these moments form a continuous current of presence that grounds us in the eternal, even as we navigate the temporal. Sri Aurobindo emphasizes that the transformed being is one who lives fully in the world without being enslaved by it. The spiritual seeker is invited to engage with life's demands from the perspective of the soul, acting with sincerity, dedication, and an openness to the higher will, rather than from egoic drives alone. This approach dissolves the ancient dichotomy between sacred and secular, recognizing all life as a stage for spiritual realization. By cultivating this inclusive vision, modern spirituality becomes accessible and deeply relevant. It teaches that even the most mundane tasks, commuting, answering emails, cooking meals, can be practiced as expressions of divine consciousness when performed with inward presence and awareness. In this way, Sri Aurobindo's modern spirituality honors the full spectrum of human experience, affirming that transformation and enlightenment are not confined to mystical retreats but demand ongoing, conscious participation in daily life. This vision encourages an honest embrace of ourselves as we are, including the complexities and contradictions of modern living. Our restless minds, anxieties, and distractions need not be enemies to be defeated, but signposts guiding us toward deeper states of peace and freedom. The challenge and the gift lies in learning the art of turning the gaze inward amidst the world's demands, developing a heart-centered mindfulness that gently calms and organizes our inner life. Over time, this spiritual practice builds not only resilience and calm, but also a capacity for inspired action, enabling us to respond creatively and wisely to challenges rather than falling into reaction. Each moment thus becomes an opportunity for growth, healing, and service to a higher purpose. The community created around this understanding is one of support and shared discovery. As the ongoing journey deepens, participants find that the path of modern spirituality is not solitary but profoundly relational, nourished by connection with others walking towards similar aspirations. If these reflections resonate with you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to our channel and become part of this nurturing space. Share your experiences below in the comments. How have you found ways to cultivate presence amid busyness? What challenges and insights have shaped your journey? By exchanging stories, questions, and encouragement, this community uplifts each member and enriches our shared understanding. The profound transformation that emerges through sustained practice of Sri Aurobindo's teachings reveals itself as a fundamental shift in how we relate to the very nature of consciousness and its expressions through human experience. Rather than seeing overthinking as a personal flaw or mental disorder to be cured, we begin to recognize it as consciousness exploring its own possibilities through the instrument of mind, seeking greater integration and harmony. This perspective completely transforms our relationship with mental activity, allowing us to work with, rather than against, the natural movements of awareness. The practice of developing inner quietude naturally leads to what Sri Aurobindo called the psychic consciousness, a deeper center of being that remains unaffected by the surface fluctuations of thought and emotion, whilst maintaining loving engagement with all aspects of life. This psychic presence serves as an inner guide that can discern between thoughts that serve our highest good and those that merely create mental turbulence and emotional disturbance. Over time, we learn to align more consistently with this deeper wisdom, allowing it to inform our choices and responses rather than being driven by habitual mental patterns. This inner transformation has profound implications for how we engage with the challenges and opportunities of contemporary existence. Instead of approaching difficulties as problems to be solved purely through analytical thinking or emotional processing, we learn to create space for creative intelligence to emerge from silence. This often results in solutions and insights that transcend what our ordinary mind could have conceived, arising from a deeper source of knowing that operates beyond the limitations of personal experience and conditioning. The integration of inner stillness with outer activity creates what Sri Aurobindo described as divine action, engagement with life that emerges from conscious participation in the evolutionary movement of consciousness itself, rather than merely personal will or social conditioning. This quality of action carries a naturalness and effectiveness that serves both individual fulfillment and collective well-being, contributing to what he envisioned as the transformation of human civilization through the awakening of higher consciousness in individuals. Perhaps most remarkably, this path reveals that the capacity for inner peace and conscious living is not dependent upon external circumstances remaining calm or favorable. The silent presence that emerges through practice becomes a stable foundation that can maintain itself through periods of intense activity, emotional challenge, or social upheaval. This inner stability actually enhances our capacity to respond skillfully to difficult situations, rather than diminishing our engagement with life's demands. The evolutionary dimension of this teaching becomes particularly relevant when we consider the collective challenges facing humanity in our current historical moment. The same consciousness that learns to quiet individual mental turbulence and find peace within personal experience can extend its influence to contribute to healing the social, environmental, and spiritual crises that characterize our time. Each person who develops genuine inner stillness becomes a source of stability and wisdom that can serve the larger transformation of human consciousness and civilization. This understanding naturally leads to a sense of responsibility and service that extends beyond personal spiritual development, to encompass conscious participation in the evolution of life itself. The peace we discover within becomes not a private refuge, but a gift we offer through our presence, our work, our relationships, and our creative contributions to the world. This transforms spiritual practice from something we do for ourselves into something we embody for the benefit of all life. The practical methods for cultivating this transformation are surprisingly simple and accessible, requiring no special circumstances or lengthy periods of formal meditation. The key lies in developing the capacity to remember our deeper nature whilst remaining fully engaged with whatever activities or relationships life presents. This remembrance gradually becomes natural and spontaneous, creating a continuous background of peace and awareness that supports all our endeavors. The ultimate gift of Sri Aurobindo's approach to quieting the mind is the recognition that what we seek through spiritual practice already exists within us as our most fundamental nature. The silence we long for is not something we must create or achieve, but rather something we must learn to recognize and allow. This shifts the entire spiritual endeavor from effortful striving to graceful receptivity, from personal accomplishment to surrender to what is already present and waiting to be acknowledged. As we reach the conclusion of this exploration into the art of quieting the mind and living fully, my heart is filled with deep appreciation for every soul who recognizes that the peace we seek is not separate from the life we're already living, but is the very essence of conscious existence itself. The path Sri Aurobindo illuminated doesn't require us to abandon our current circumstances or become different people, but rather to discover the extraordinary within the ordinary. Through the simple practice of present moment awareness and inner receptivity. If these insights about transforming overthinking into opportunities for deeper presence have touched something authentic in your own experience, if you can sense the possibility of finding profound peace within rather than despite the complexities of modern life, then you're already walking the path of integration that Sri Aurobindo revealed. I would be deeply honored if you'd continue this exploration with us by subscribing to our channel. But what moves me most is hearing about your own journey of discovering stillness and wisdom within the apparent chaos of contemporary existence. What aspects of mental restlessness have been most challenging for you? And where have you found unexpected moments of peace and clarity? How has your relationship with thinking and emotions shifted as you've explored practices of inner quietude? What insights about living consciously in the modern world would you love to explore more deeply together? Please share your experiences, questions, and discoveries in the comments below. Your journey of finding peace within activity illuminates possibilities for all of us who are learning to transform the ancient practice of meditation into a living art of conscious participation in contemporary life.